ASMR Magical Tools. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back. So, today we're going to be talking about the week ahead, which is August 23rd through August 29th, 2021. And this week is going to start out with the moon in Pisces. And by the time we get to Sunday, the moon will be entering Gemini. A lot of our planets are moving into Libra now. Venus is in Libra. And Mercury will be moving into Libra at the very end of the week. So let's talk about Monday, August 23rd. The moon will be in the 28th and final lunar mansion, which is Baten al-Hut, the belly of the fish. This is a very lucky lunar mansion. It is all about realization of potentials, cohesion, gathering, culmination, attainment, joy, and harvesting. And the stars associated with this lunar mansion were originally in the head of Andromeda. Starting out Monday, August 23rd, Venus, which is in the sign of Libra at this time, is going to be trine Saturn in Aquarius. And of course, Saturn in Aquarius is retrograde right now. Venus, in its native of Libra, is very good for harmonious partnerships. And trine this Saturn in Aquarius placement. Remember that Saturn in Aquarius, especially when retrograde, can have to do with the status quo resisting change. Established organizations digging in their heels against change. So, where we have this trine placement with Venus in Libra, we have the potential for positive things to come in regarding the new status quo and the new order of things. Pardon me a moment, I'm going to turn on some extra light. There we go. That's much better. In the middle of the morning, we're going to have the moon in the sign of Pisces sextile Uranus in Taurus. Uranus in Taurus. Now, remember that Uranus in Taurus is retrograde right now, and also that it has to do with the levels of comfort and stability for groups, and also new ways of establishing comfort and stability. So this moon in Pisces is a very mysterious kind of a transit. Pisces has to do with endings and also has to do with your psychic awareness. There can be things revealed about anyone who is working against you at this time also. The sextile placement will open up the possibility for intuitive thinking regarding possible ways of gaining stability for groups and in ways that have not been done before. Toward the middle of the day, we're going to see an opposition. We'll see another opposition in the evening too. But this opposition toward the middle of the day is going to be the moon in Pisces and Mars in Virgo. Remember, this Mars in Virgo energy is very inclined towards forcing one's own organization upon someone else or upon other people, forcing your schedule on other people or enforcing a schedule for others. This moon in Pisces, of course, is very resistant to things like that. The moon is very feminine and Mars is very masculine. And of course, moon in Pisces is a very watery placement, while Mars is very fiery. So there's a lot of opposition there. This could be a kind of a tense day for these things. Later into the evening, on into the night, the moon in Pisces is then going to be in opposition to Mercury, also in Virgo. Mercury in Virgo is wonderful for analytical thinking and communication. So this following the opposition with Mars, hopefully a lot of those issues can start to get worked out. Using communication. Overnight, the moon and Neptune, which is retrograde, are going to be conjunct in the sign of Pisces. And this will be a really beautiful conjunction. Very good for prophetic dreams. And remember too that the moon and Neptune are like two octaves of the same note. Two octaves of the same note. Two octaves. One is right here and the other one is up here. So now let's talk about Tuesday, August 24th. we'll be dealing with the first lunar mansion again. That is Al-Sharatain and is the 2 signals, referring to the 2 stars in the horns of the constellation Aries. This lunar mansion's themes are divine mind, primal transmission, powers of creation and destruction, active energy, and dynamic force. Very early in the morning, the moon will be void, of course, in Pisces before it moves into Aries. And at this time, it will be sextile Pluto, retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. Retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. So this retrograde Pluto in Capricorn, of course, has been causing a lot of volatility in the job market, which is not necessarily bad. A lot of things need to change, which is why planetary transits can predict these things. This moon in Pisces allows you to believe that anything is possible. Anything is possible, and nothing is forbidden. So you could have, again, a prophetic dream at this time about a new career path that you could take, or something similar. Toward the middle of the day is when the moon is going to enter the sign of Aries. Moon in Aries also can bring to light new beginnings that you can take, and aspects of the self, emotional aspects of the self. In the afternoon, the moon in Aries, the moon in the sign of Aries, is going to quincunx the sun, which has now moved into the sign of Virgo. So this quincunx, we've got moon in Aries, which is very much about bringing these new beginnings to light, becoming aware of new paths that you can take. And the sun in Virgo highlights analytical thinking, scheduling your daily routines, and taking care of your health. So this quincunx could drive some action in that area. And finally, later in the evening, there's going to be an opposition, this time between Mercury, which is in the sign of Virgo, its native, and Neptune, which is retrograde at this time in Pisces. That Neptune retrograde in Pisces is very much about psychic expansion in all directions, while Mercury in Virgo is a very analytically minded, down to earth way of being. These two things can be very contradictory, but there are also ways they can work together in a wonderful and beautiful direction of discernment and organizing and compartmentalization, which are key to understanding your psychic gifts. Psychic gifts. Psychic gifts. Next, we're going to talk about August 25th, which is Wednesday. The lunar mansion for Wednesday is the second lunar mansion, which is called Albutane and is the belly of Aries. The themes of this lunar mansion include the idea of the universal soul, serene, sovereign power, reconciliation, and pacification. So with Al-Sharatain, we had the divine mind, and with Al-Butane, we have the universal soul. Early in the morning, the moon in Aries is going to sextile Saturn, which is retrograde in Aquarius. Now, this Saturn retrograde in Aquarius, as I've mentioned before, is very much about established organizations digging in and doubling down against possible change. It doesn't matter if this change is for the best or not. However, the moon in the moon in Aries, sextiling this placement is going to open up for new ideas and beginnings. So this sextile will be a very positive placement for those things. Toward the middle and later parts of the morning, the moon in Aries is going to be in opposition to Venus in Libra. Moon in Aries can lead you to some selfish feelings or some very self-centered ideas or things coming to light about selfishness in yourself. Very much about the self. This Venus in Libra is very much about partnerships, relationships that are romantic in nature, but also in your professional life. So tensions might come out at this time. Between you and other people. In the middle of the day, there's going to be a conjunction between the moon and Chiron, which is retrograde, and they are both in the sign of Aries. And this conjunction is going to give you an opportunity where Chiron is retrograde. Any things about yourself regarding a certain placement that you think you've already conquered, things about yourself you believe that you've already fixed, these things are going to be revisited at this time, and it will give you another opportunity to reinforce new habits and gain better coping mechanisms. And finally, for Wednesday, August 25th, in the evening hours, the moon in Aries is going to be quincunx Mars in the sign of Virgo. Mars in Virgo, remember that I've said, can be very much about enforcing your own personal routines and order on other people. Enforcing your routines on other people. Where we see the moon in Aries, which can bring to light new beginnings, but can also be about the emotions relating to the self, so it can be a little bit self-centered. With this quincunx placement, there may be some action that is taken where you enforce your routines or structure of your life onto other people. Doesn't necessarily have to be bad, but remember that free will is also a good thing to recognize and promote in the people around you. So now we'll continue on to Thursday, August 26th. Thursday, August 26th. We'll be within the third lunar mansion on Thursday. And this lunar mansion is called Al-Thuraya, which means the many little ones. And this refers, of course, to the constellation of the Pleiades within the sign of Taurus. The themes of the third lunar mansion are universal nature, auspicious fortune, the fire of transformation, creative energies, beauty, and abundance. Abundance, abundance, abundance. So, first thing in the morning, this is going to be more toward the middle of the morning hours, that Venus in Libra is going to be in opposition to Chiron retrograde in the sign of Aries. And remember, we've been talking about how Chiron in Aries can highlight opportunities to resolve things about yourself which have a tendency towards selfishness, or toward beginning things and not following up and finishing them. So where we have this strong partnership placement of Venus in Libra, then this Chiron in Aries transit is going to give us an opportunity to revisit any things about ourselves which might be selfish in our partnerships with others, might be selfish within partnerships. Also in the middle of the morning, Mercury, which is in Virgo, it's native at this time, is going to trine Pluto, which is retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, And this trine is going to give us an opportunity to organize and plan for the future. This is going to be very good for job searches or resume building or any other research related to possible career prospects long term. Especially with this flexibility that is afforded when Pluto is retrograde in Capricorn. You could decide to go into an entirely new field at this time, or do a job that you've never considered before. In the middle of the day, we're going to have the moon in Aries square Pluto retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, right? Now, this square is going to start an opportune period. So on the West Coast, that's going to be 11 a.m. On the East Coast, it's going to start at 2 p.m. And this opportune period will go until 2:14 in the afternoon on the West Coast and 5:14 in the evening on the East Coast. So about a 3-hour period. And this is suitable for anything. It's an excellent time to take the initiative on something. Take the initiative. A good time to start something. We do have that moon in Aries and Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. Be an excellent time to begin something especially related to your career. After the beginning of the opportune period, the moon in Aries is also going to quincunx Mercury in Virgo. And this is wonderful for planning. It's also wonderful for communication and excellent for analytical thinking, analytical thinking, analytical thinking. The opportune period ends with the void of course moon. And at this time, the moon is going to be in Aries a little bit longer before it goes into Taurus. And it's going to sextile Jupiter, which is retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius, Aquarius, Aquarius. Remember that this Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius is excellent for expansion of social groups, expansion of your social media presence. Aquarian energy is very tied to the internet, so anything that is online you can look into expanding at this time. And the moon in Aries is good for bringing to light new beginnings. New beginnings. So this could be very good for that expansion. Remember also that we are looking at the lunar mansion having to do with creative energy, abundance, and transformation. Finally, our overnight energy is going to be the moon going into the sign of Taurus. And the moon in Taurus has a lot to do with comfort and good night's sleep. So now we're going to be talking about Friday, August 27th. The lunar mansion for Friday is going to be the fourth lunar mansion, which is Aldebaran, the follower. And this lunar mansion is called the follower because it is thought to chase the constellation of the Pleiades. The themes of this lunar mansion are primal material, discord, enmity, chaotic substance, ill will, and hindrance. In the middle of the morning, the moon, which is in Taurus, is going to trine the sun in the sign of Virgo. Remember, the sun in Virgo is highlighting things like your health and your daily routines. So the moon in Taurus might be encouraging you to adjust these things for your own comfort. Adjust them for your own comfort. Toward noon, so a little bit later in the morning, but still not quite the middle of the day, Mercury, which is in the sign of Virgo at this time, is quincunx to Jupiter in Aquarius. 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 Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius, being excellent for expansion, especially regarding things on the internet, social media, your social groups, and Mercury in Virgo, being very conducive to analytical thinking and ideas, organization, so that you might organize a mailing list serve, you might reorganize your social media, you might set up a website at this time. All of those things are possibilities for the energy of this transit. And in the afternoon, the moon in Taurus is going to square Saturn retrograde in Aquarius. This square is going to create tension because Moon in Taurus craves comfort and stability, whereas Saturn retrograde in Aquarius has to do with established hierarchy resisting change. So that is going to create tension and does indeed fit the themes of the fourth lunar mansion of Aldebaran. Ill will, hindrance, discord. So be aware of these things on the afternoon of Friday the 27th. On Saturday, August 28th, we will be in the fifth lunar mansion, which is called Al-Haka, or the white spot. And this lunar mansion's name refers to 3 small stars which are located on the head of Orion. The themes for this lunar mansion. This time we have the universal body. So with Al-Butane, we had the universal soul. And with Al-Sharatain, we had the divine mind. So now with Al-Haka, we have the universal body, favor, intellectual activity, health, goodwill, and safety. So very Moon in Taurus, comfort-seeking behaviors. This lunar mansion will continue on into Sunday this week. That is not always the case, but it is the case this lunar cycle. Very early in the morning, the moon in Taurus is going to quincunx Venus in the sign of Libra. And this is a very comfortable, relationship type energy, definitely bringing comfort into your relationship. Now, this is an overnight energy, so this could be a late night text, it could be snuggling, it could be anything like that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship. This could also represent you reaching out to a close friend. Not quite an hour after this, the moon is going to conjunct Uranus, which is retrograde at this time, both of which are in the sign of Taurus. And this reinforces that feeling of comfort and extends it out into your social groups. You could theoretically find yourself online at this odd hour of the day, liking all of your friends' pictures on Instagram, or leaving them very nice comments, very nice and tender comments. In the middle of the day, then, Venus in Libra is going to quincunx Uranus in Taurus. So at that time, you might be taking action regarding this situation as a whole in another fashion, because now that it's the middle of the day, all of your friends should be awake. About a half hour after this, but still in the middle of the day, the moon in Taurus is going to trine Mars in Virgo. And while a lot of these Mars in Virgo placements have been very challenging, in this particular case, you might be making serious recommendations to friends and loved ones about their scheduling based from a place of compassion and desiring comfort and stability for them. In the evening, the moon in Taurus is going to be sextile Neptune retrograde in the sign of Pisces. A wonderful time for communing with your higher power. This is an excellent time for worship, and your own core self will be, theoretically, based on the placements, in a very relaxed and comfortable state, conducive to proper worship. So, our overnight transit for Saturday, August 28th, is going to be a trine between the moon in Taurus and Pluto, which is retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. Retrograde in Capricorn. And moon in Taurus is all about comfort-seeking activities, while Pluto retrograde in Capricorn is a lot of volatility and change in areas of our career, how we utilize the resources around us for our own benefit. But since this is an overnight energy, and remember how I said that the moon in Taurus can contribute to dulces sueños, it is possible you could have a dream about how to move forward with your career, or some other kind of epiphany based in your own comfort. And finally, we're going to talk about Sunday, August 29th. Now, remember what I said yesterday, that the lunar mansion of Al-Haka is going to continue into Sunday, this lunar cycle. So remember, again, themes of intellectual activity, health, and goodwill. Very early in the morning, there is going to be a square between the moon in Taurus and Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius, Aquarius, Aquarius. This is also going to start an opportune period which will continue until the moon enters Gemini later on this day. So that's going to be about 8 hours from 1:40 in the morning on the west coast, 1:40 a.m. on the west coast until 9:40 a.m. or 4:40 a.m. until 40 minutes past noon on the East Coast. East Coast, East Coast. And this is a highly productive, opportune period if you choose to wake up super, super early on Sunday. I know a lot of you probably don't even get out of bed before noon. But again, we have themes of comfort and also expansion of one's social circles possible at this time. In the middle of this, and in the middle of the morning, the moon is going to be void of course as it trines Mercury in Virgo. And that is going to encourage you to make changes to your health or your daily routines based on your comfort level. Our overnight energy for Sunday, August 29th is going to be that Mercury, remember I said this was going to happen? Mercury is going to enter the sign of Libra. And this is an excellent energy for communicating about partnerships and communicating new ideas to people with whom you are in partnerships. And that is your week ahead. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to leave me your comments and your likes. They are greatly appreciated.